If you sit around wondering what people want you to do, or actually, I mean, you know exactly what they want you to do, which is just repeat the same that you've done a million times. That's a different version of it. You know, I mean, Gwar is not AC/DC. We're not Slayer. We're not making the same record 40 times in a row.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the mighty Blothar the Berserker of Gwar. How are you today, my liege?
Well, I'm fine. Absolutely fine.
Wonderful. The world is on fire and everything is burning. I'm glad you're fine.
And I'm playing Wordle.
How's your score going?
Pretty good.
Any complex and interesting SAT style words today, if you know what the SAT test is?
Fetus.
Nice.
The word fetus that came up.
Fetus is always a good time. It's always a good word. We are here today to talk about the awesome new Gwar album, The New Dark Ages. A very appropriate album for this time in the world.
I think so. Absolutely.
I think so too. I've gotten to spend a little time with the album. Much love and appreciation to the team for letting me hear it early. Hopefully I won't get thrown into the worm machine and get eaten for it, but I'm appreciative and thankful that I got to hear this and jam out and rock out to this thing. Yeah, it's a banger. Let's talk about concept records right off the bat. I mean, every Gwar record is a concept record in that it is Gwar, but this record seems extra specially well thought out.
Yeah, well, it is definitely more of a concept record than what we've done in the past. And what it is that, you know, we have a graphic novel that accompanies the record, and so the narrative in the record is partly structured by that graphic novel, and we always generally, you know, the records have a theme, and we often have certainly in the old days in the 90s, the Gwar records, you'd have character songs and people coming on and things like that. And there's not too many not really character songs on this record as far as guest singers, but there's a little bit of that. But there's definitely a strong narrative thread to the record that really, I don't think the last few records have had that. So it's we're happy with it, as happy as we can be, which is barely happy at all, almost miserable.
Right, especially 35 years after landing on this rock and causing a ruckus and making this wonderful, grotesque, great music that reflects humanity as well as any mirror can. It is a terrific record. It is a concept record. There's some things on here I think Gwar fans will be pleasantly surprised by that they have never heard on a Gwar record. I can attest to that. There are things on here no one has ever heard before on a Gwar record. It's hard to reinvent yourself slightly when you're this long into a career of causing mayhem and feasting on souls, but you guys have achieved it here.
Well, you know, Mike Gitter from who used to write for the magazine Cream way back in the day, one time he told me probably the most offhanded compliment that I've ever heard. Gwar has quietly been making great records for a really long time. I said, you know, can we amplify that a little bit? But yeah, I mean, you know, it's definitely true that, you know, I don't know. I don't think Gwar's gotten credit for the strength of the band's music, but this record might, you know, I don't know. I mean, the fans, you never know though. They're so fickle that we literally can't think about. I mean, that way madness lies. If you sit around wondering what people want you to do, or actually, I mean, you know exactly what they want you to do, which is just repeat the same shit that you've done a million times. That's a different version of it. You know, I mean, Gwar is not AC/DC. We're not Slayer. We're not making the same record 40 times in a row. We're not even making the same record 2 times in a row. But I think that some Gwar fans got used to a period in the band's career when the band did do that, right? You did have a series of records that were mostly written by one musician, and the other players started writing in that style. So you did have, you know, and it's a good period for Gwar. It's when because being eclectic is not necessarily marketable, right? So this time period for Gwar, the sort of metal years or super metal, like thrash metal years, there were some good records. Those are very good records, but they do sound similar from uh, you know, and at least stylistically, there's certainly compared to the stuff that the band was doing in the '90s and compared to the last two records. So
Right
you
on.
never know. I mean, some fans like it, some fans don't, but that I like to think that Gwar fans in general, especially the true fans of the band, are fans that appreciate Gwar's range, and it's freeing in a way, knowing that we don't have to make the same record again and again.
That is super fair. Shout out to Mike Gitter, and shout out to Cream Magazine. Boy, howdy, we don't get a mention of them very often. Something older than me normally doesn't get mentioned here at Ghost Cult, so I'm so thrilled. I love Cream. I grew up on that, so that's why I do what I do a little bit. Yeah, man, it is a very diverse and range. As you mentioned the word range, there's a lot of range on here. There's a lot of range on the vocals of Blothar, maybe more than ever before. Phenomenal vocal performance here on this record. That's actually one of the first things that stood out to me on a repeat listen is how great the vocals are on here by the mighty Berserker.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's like the most heavy metal Dio Ozzy thing I've ever heard in my life in a long time. And there's a lot of trad bands out there right now. I'm gonna throw that word out there, trad heavy metal bands. But
Mhm.
this is more. This is as gore heavy metal as you can get on this record on a bunch of tracks.
God, that is upsetting that people are using the term trad metal, like trad jazz. That's what,
Ouch. Yeah,
yeah.
well, I mean, I am a journalist, and what we do is codify everything, so you know how it goes.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's true. Everything's your fault.
I totally accept the blame for this, and it is partially due to my fault. I think it's a genre term that's been around for about 20 years now, but and there are bands that are just worshiping that era of music, and yeah, I agree. You wouldn't say to me all jazz is trad, but that's just we can go musicology another day, my liege. And I don't want to upset the mighty master again. I don't want
Oh,
to
I'm
get
not
thrown into
upset.
the yes. But it is a terrific record, and in a way, it's kind of weird. The dual verse and graphic novels, these are things that go back to the very heart and core of early Gwar. I saw the Gwar documentary recently, which I'll bring up again in a minute, and it did, this era of the band does kind of harken back to the early days of the group and why it is what it is.
I think so. Yes, absolutely. Um, I do wish we had more artists in the stable, as many as we did back in the day when Gwar was rolling deep for a while there. We had the some of the stuff that's discussed in that documentary is from a time when there were about 15 artists in the band, and at least eight of them making, doing sculpture and painting and things like that. So it's now we're down to really just a few, like three, but um, they're doing a great job of bringing it together and creating new ways and new things for us to do on stage. That's the other thing, is that when we actually do go on tour for this record, which the touring that we're getting ready to do is not for this album, right? It's we're getting ready to do something that's more of a wrestling show, but when the touring for this album is going to be right in line with that concept, so it's going to be a really cool thing to see.
Amazing. Yeah, I think this record, especially things like the Cutter and Berserker Mode and with all respect and Ratcatcher, these are things that are going to be really potent live if we get to see them fully developed. At least to my ears, what I hear the story, it really is a thread almost through the whole record. There's an interlude and there's a very long bizarre ending track that reminded me all it needs is a little Morrison poetry and it would be like the end. And it's like almost avant-garde Gwar a little bit there at the end, but
Uh,
there's a thread through this whole thing that would make a phenomenal stage show. There's no question.
oh yeah, it's going to be great.
Are we gonna see the Cutter someday? I
I
think
think
that's
so. Yeah,
inevitable.
yeah. You will see. She will make an appearance as
Yes.
you know, a, a little schoolgirl wearing outfit, murderous character. Uh, so yeah, that's exciting. We can't wait to bring all that to life.
Nice work, nice work. And again, the graphic novel, for those that are aware, you can order that now. That's out with Z2, a wonderful comic company. They do a lot of collabs. You guys could have went with anybody, but they are a great choice.
Yeah, yeah, they are. They are. And Gwar has a long history with uh, with underground comics. It's very rooted in, I mean, and overground comics too. I mean, of course, you know, when I first started hanging around the people responsible for Gwar, uh, I learned a lot about Jack Kirby but at the same time about the Checkered Demon and S. Clay Wilson and Zap Comics, all of that stuff, R. Crumb, all of that stuff is very important to Gwar, and it's been there for a long time. So it's great to actually have a company that wasn't afraid to let the artists in this band loose to be artists, right? I mean, because there's always been comic creators in Gwar since day one. So it was a good chance to get that rolling.
Amazing, forever entwined with the history of the group. I was going to mention Harvey Pekar. It seems like there's a great, satire. Crumb, you mentioned, satirists in the comic world, and that would just go perfectly hand in hand or hand in claw, fanged claw with Gore. And so, yeah, man, I just saw the Doctor Strange movie, and I've seen like a lot of stuff like everything everywhere all at once. Like my brain is twisted up by things, so the Duoverse is right in that vein. It's like, oh, of course, an alternate parallel insane universe where Gwar
Right.
would find themselves and Berserker would rediscover powers and lost antiquity. So this is Berserker mode, man. What I like waited my whole life for this track in a way. What a great track. To me, one of the standout tracks, but also completely
Oh,
fucked is great, especially after Fuck This Place. It's almost like the sequel to Fuck This Place. Completely.
yeah, definitely. And yes, you're right. It is. Yes, I mean the Berserker mode it's a story about the Berserker, Blothar, myself, speaking about myself in third person, like Kanye. Uh, and it's nice to like you said, Blothar has discovered some new powers, and of course there is an alternate universe where Gwar. Speaking of range, the alternate Gwar is a country band, so you can look forward to some country music coming out of Gwar at some point.
This is War Country. I'm waiting for it. Let's do it.
I think we make bro country. I don't know.
Bro Country. Okay, I was hoping for more like a Waylon, Johnny, Willie thing, but Bro Country
Well,
could
I
work.
mean, that's that's actually good music.
For real. Speaking of Fuck This Place, I feel like in a way I'm still kind of taken aback by the success and the popularity of that song, and I feel like Completely Fucked also needs to get in the set list in the future because I don't know why Fuck This Place, maybe because of the obviousness of it, has resonated so hard with people that you guys close the show with it now, but Completely Fucked is also a banger.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it'll be in there. It'll be in there, and it's not in there yet. But when we do there's not a song that we don't look forward to playing on this tour or on the next tour for the album when it comes out. It's going to be great.
Nice.
I just can't wait to see people dancing to the soca rhythm.
Yes, that's coming.
That'll be fun. Guar's never done a soca before, so
Right. Well, it's better than maybe trap metal. So, we're getting inventive here. I like it. Not afraid. It works. Trust me, people. I've heard the record. I know it's a little bit, this will interview will arrive right before the record at this point, maybe a little before that, but yeah, don't be alarmed. It's going to be okay. Just let it happen to you.
just let it happen.
That's it. Yeah, man, like I said, a terrific time for the band and this whole shebang, man. It's I know it's been a really crazy couple of years. You guys have gotten back out into touring. I got to see the band at the end of last year at that big shindig with I Hate God and Napalm Death.
Mm.
And we're looking forward to a whole Gwar World Tour booked already, which is crazy. That there's the
Yeah.
train keeps a rolling somehow.
Oh yeah. Can't stop it.
Not even the plague. Not even the
No.
plague. We welcome it. Yeah, I do have to bring up. Yeah, it's a record also very heavy with riffs. For people who love their riffy Gwar, there's a lot of riffs on here. There's a lot of headbanging. There's a lot of fun. Maybe even like I said, heavy metal is the word I would use. There's a lot of just headbanging goodness on here.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. It's a lot of I mean, Guar's always been a it's riff based music, but there are some particularly good ones on this one, I think. So I'm glad that you like it. I mean that we were hoping people wouldn't absolutely hate it, but at the same time we were hoping they would.
As you do, as you do.
Yeah, I mean you want to make people furious and happy at the same time.
Well done, well done. I do have to say the documentary again for those who have yet to see it. Please go see it. It is an eye opener. It is warts and all. Let's put it that way. There's nothing. It was difficult at times as a longtime fan of the band, a lover of the band, if you will, that I have been to watch. Man, it was hard. I would think it was hard for you guys to make it because it was all there. It was all left to hang out.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It was hard to make it, and I think that the right person made it. We were not interested in hagiography. We were not interested in uh, it's especially hard. Like if you're a producer on a documentary, my concern was that it was going to be, you know, we wanted the filmmaker to understand that we wanted this story told and not, you know, a lot of times if a band is responsible or if an artist is responsible for their own documentary, right, then uh, it tends to be to hide things, and we just weren't interested in doing that because it's always been Gwar is an interesting story just on its own without the narrative that we present on stage. The actual story of Gwar is an interesting story, and there's nothing like it. There's nothing like what we do on stage, but there's also nothing like the organization that puts it on stage. So it's a good story.
Legit, everybody should see it. And I was lucky to go see it in a theater. I hope it's going to make another round in theaters and eventually make its way to people's homes where we like to see these things.
Oh, it's gonna have, there's some special announcements coming out. You know, you don't release something this good. Boy, it feels good to say that. You don't put out something this good and have people not notice it. So, like, I mean, we've had some good things happen concerning this film that are so it's going to have a theatrical release somewhat, but it's also going to have I'm not can't really announce it yet, but it's going to have a wider release for streaming that's pretty exciting.
Word. I'm glad to hear it. Just as we wind this down, I want to give you back your busy day, my lord. I have to say, Butt of the Gods is just over a year old, as we just passed 420 time in the world, our favorite holiday, my favorite holiday beside Halloween. And
Mhm.
yeah, any news on the Butt of the Gods front? Every time we mention it, the clicks go up, the clickety clacks on the
Oh, the Butt of
website.
Gods, yeah, yeah,
So yeah, good stuff
yeah.
there.
I mean, it's great. I eat it for breakfast. It's I can't get enough of it. Uh, and of course, it's Delta 8, but and it's interesting to me that the fans are like, some of them are like, that's not hardcore. What Gwar would sell crack. Yeah, we would,
If you
but it's,
could.
yeah, if we could, we would definitely would, but we can't. So we sell the Bud of Gods, which we can sell. And there's a new product coming out that's along those lines. Um, because there is no end to the levels that we will go for prostituting ourselves any way possible, any way imaginable.
Indeed, indeed. Last and not least, I felt compelled to ask as we just had the major news that Judas Priest has made the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Typically, I don't like awards and halls of fame. I think pats on the back are gross. But as a fan of the priest, how does Gwar feel about Hall of Fames? Would Gwar ever accept being into a Hall of Fame? Would the Hall of Fame ever accept Gwar? I wonder about these things, and I wanted to ask
Well,
you.
I mean, we really pissed the Grammys off when we were nominated the first time by describing them as the meaningless accolades of a dim-witted child. But now, you know, if they wanted to put us in the Hall of Fame, of course we would go in there. Mainly just because I want to have a restaurant that has a hamburger named after me, and basically I'll go anywhere that Rob Halford goes. You know
Right?
why? Because I like fashion and kitty cats. That's
Word.
why we share those interests.
There's the
Um,
Venn diagram of Judas Priest and Gwar right there.
yeah,
There is a restaurant with a Gwar burger and perhaps a Blothar burger. That's Kuma's Corner.
that's right. Kuma's, yeah,
Nice Kuma's.
they have the Gwar burger. I don't think they have a Blothar burger.
They should though.
Blothar gets upset when you talk about hamburgers because I'm part cow.
Ah, okay. Well, I don't know. I feel
But
like there would be some kind of zombie self. I don't know. There's got to be some kind of level there where there's
yeah,
some kind of burger. Maybe we'll make a turkey burger or something
but
for
I
it.
don't think that the Hall of Fame is going to come knocking on Gwar's door anytime soon because Gwar is on the outside of all of that, and we've always been on the outside of it, and we're happy there, right? We're not hanging out. It's a special set of people that we hang out with backstage, right? Like at one of these big festivals, Gwar's not hobnobbing with the dudes from Slayer, right? Uh, we're more likely to be, uh, backstage with the guys from Cannibal Corpse, maybe.
Very apt. Very
Yeah.
apt. My lord, Blothar, the Berserker of Gwar. Fantastic talking to you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with Ghost Cult. The new Dark Ages is coming out on Pit Records June 3rd. Just thanks so much for everything, and we'll see you slaying crowds soon once again.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Peace. Or war. Whatever you like.
War. All right.